Edward Philip George Seaga was born on 28 May 1930, in Boston, Massachusetts, to Philip George Seaga, of Lebanese-Jamaican descent, and Erna N. Maxwell, who was a Jamaican of African, Scottish and Indian descent. His parents returned to Jamaica with him when he was 3 months old. He was baptized in the Kingston's Anglican Parish Church on 5 December 1930. Erna was the daughter of Elizabeth Campbell, daughter of John Zungaru Campbell. Mr. Seaga was educated at Wolmer Boys' School in Jamaica. He then went to the United States to college and afterwards to Harvard University. Edward Seaga graduated from Harvard University in 1952 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in the Social Sciences. Before he began his political career, Seaga was a music producer and promoter. He subsequently took a research post at the University of the West Indies. Seaga's research led to an interest in popular Jamaican music. In 1955, he supervised the recording of an album of ethnic Jamaican music. He continued to produce recordings by other artists and in the late 1950s set up West Indies Records Limited, releasing early recordings by artists such as Higgs and Wilson and Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. Beginning in 1961, Seaga lived in West Kingston. He became deeply involved in its music scene and recorded some of its artists. WIRL became the most successful record company in the West Indies. After being elected in 1962 as a Member of Parliament, representing the Jamaica Labour Party, he sold the company to Byron Lee. It was renamed Dynamic Sounds. Even though he went into politics, Mr. Seaga's love for the music continued. For over 16 years, Eddie Seaga worked on compiling a collection of Jamaican music covering the period from the mid-1950s to the early 1970s. This anthology, Reggae Golden Jubilee Origins of Jamaican Music, was released on November 6, 2012 in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Jamaican independence. Seaga's political career began in 1959 when Sir Alexander Bustamante, founder of the Jamaica Labour Party (JLP), nominated him to serve in the upper house of the Jamaican Parliament, the Legislative Council, later the Senate. His appointment at the age of 29 made him the youngest member ever appointed to the Legislative Council. In 1961, he participated in drafting the Jamaican Constitution. In April 1962, Edward George Seaga was elected Member of Parliament for West Kingston, the waterfront area in the capital city. Historically, this was the oldest settlement in Kingston for poor, working-class residents, many of whom were unemployed. Employment is largely petty trading with some semi-skilled craftsmen. He held that seat for 43 consecutive years, until he retired, making him the longest-serving Member of Parliament in the history of Jamaica and the Caribbean region. He is the only person to have been elected as Member of Parliament for West Kingston for more than one term, and won 10 consecutive terms. Immediately after winning his seat in 1962, Seaga was appointed to the cabinet as Minister of Development and Welfare, with responsibility for all areas of planning, social development and culture. He initiated the redevelopment of Back of Wall, a notorious large slum in West Kingston, and its replacement by housing, schools and community amenities, which was named Tivoli Gardens. He also used his position to continue to promote Jamaican music. Following the 1967 general elections, Seaga was appointed Minister of Finance and Planning. In 1974 he became leader of the JLP, in which he served for 30 years. He was also leader of the parliamentary opposition in various periods. Edward P.G. Seaga became Prime Minister of Jamaica following the general election of October 30, 1980, when the Jamaica Labour Party won a landslide victory over the incumbent People National Party (PNP), with the largest mandate ever. The mandate of Seaga and the Jamaica Labour Party was renewed in the uncontested 1983 general elections. He continued as Prime Minister until February 1989. As one of the founding fathers in the framing of the Jamaican Constitution in 1961, Seaga has spearheaded far-reaching constitutional reforms since then. He initiated a rewrite of the Human Rights section of the Constitution, to provide for a Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. Creation of the post of Public Defender. and curtailment of some of the powers of the Prime Minister to provide a better balance of power between the executive and the Parliament in the Jamaican system of governance. Edward George Seaga was instrumental in the development of independent Jamaica in many ways. We will now explore some of the things that was attributed to him. 1967, first Jamaican majority-owned commercial bank, Jamaica Citizens Bank JCB. 1968, Jamaica Stock Exchange. 1969, decimalization of the Jamaican currency. 1969, nationalization of financial institutions, banks and insurance companies. 1969, introduction of merchant banking. 1971, Jamaica Unit Trust. 1972, Jamaica Mortgage Bank. 1981, National Development Bank NDB. 1981, Agricultural Credit Bank ACB. 1982, Agro 21. 1982, divestment program, commencing with lease of government-owned hotels. 1984, Self-Start Fund. 1985, comprehensive tax reforms including a flat income tax rate for all. 1985, Solidarity Program for Micro-Businesses. 1986, Export-Import Bank Exim Bank. 1986, deregulation of economy, commencing with removal of import licensing. Later price controls. 1986, privatization of financial institutions, NCB. 1987, JAMPRO formerly JNIP. 1988, Digiport, first satellite telecommunications data processing operation, Montego Bay. 1988, 1 Million Trees Program. Planning and development. Edit. Rural and urban planning and the environment have been prime areas of development in Seaga's career. He has focused on waterfront development in the main coastal towns and cities, rural and urban township development programs, and the development of parks and markets. They included the following: 1963, 5-year development plan. 1966, redevelopment of Kingston waterfront. 1967, comprehensively planned urban communities, runs out the Rasta from the back Wall community claiming to redevelop Estivali Garden, a modern, fully planned urban development. Hellshire Hills development. Torrington Park. 1967, reclamation and development of Aco Rios waterfront. Turtle Beach. 1968, Urban Development Corporation. 1969, comprehensive development plan for infrastructure of many rural towns. 1971, 20-year physical development plan. 1983, National Conference Center, headquarters of the International Seabed Authority. 1983, National Committee for Drug Abuse. 1985, MPM, beautification and public cleansing. 1988, reclamation of Montego Bay waterfront. 1988, Negril development. 1988, social well-being plan. Various times land bank, purchase of 50,000 acres of prime properties for future development. Negril, Orange Bay, Auchendown, Mt. Edgecombe, Seville, Laughing Water, Belmont Duns River, Winifred Rest home property, Caymanas. Various times development of several hotels, Kingston waterfront, Aco Rios, Negril. Social programs created by Eddie Seaga R. 1963, construction of the National Arena. 1963, Things Jamaican, craft development. 1963, launching of the Drug Abuse Committee. Later Council. 1964, 100 Village Community Development Program. 1965, community sports development on a structured island-wide basis. 1965, the Golden Age Movement. 1965, the National Volunteers. 1970, Student Revolving Loan Fund for Higher Education. 1971, National School Feeding Program. 1972, establishment of Jamaica Racing Commission and Jockey School. 1974, Institute of Mass Communication, later renamed Caribbean Institute of Media and Communication Carimac. 1982, HEART, Human Employment and Resource Training. 1984, Food Stamp Program for Elderly Poor and Lactating Mothers. 1984, ARP, Administrative Reform Program for Fundamental Civil Service Reforms. 1985, Golden Age Home for the Elderly Poor. 1986, LEAP, Learning for Earning Activity Program for Street Children. 1988, PACE Program for Advancement of Early Childhood Education. 1988, Residential Halls for UWI, UTEC and Cultural Training Center. Cultural programs. Seaga established in independent Jamaica most of the institutions to build cultural awareness and national identity, as well as develop arts, crafts and national heritage. 1963, Jamaica Festival. 1964, promotion to launch Jamaican music ska abroad. 1964, return and interment of Marcus Garvey's body at Jamaica. 1964, Order of National Heroes, Garvey first named hero 1964 National Heroes Park 1965-9, development of several museums, Arawak, Port Royal 1967 Jamaica Journal publication Institute of Jamaica 1967 Research and Recording of Folk Culture 1967 Devon House 1968 National Heritage Week 1971 Design of the Cultural Training Center Arts, Drama, Music, Painting and Sculpture 1972 Jamaica Racing Commission and Jockey School 1986 Establishment of the Creative Production and Training Center CPTC 1988 Planned Development of Heritage Sites Port Royal, Spanish Town, Seville 1988 Media Divestment Program, to establish several small private radio stations and church television.